Letting folks into the waiting room here. There we go.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome, welcome. Looking good. Adele, you can't put yours on Chromebook. That's all right.
Happy Earth Day, too. There's a little one.
Well, we'll get started. It's now 4:34. Happy Earth Day, everybody. Welcome to Motivos Team Talk. My name is Janae Chiswick Aguero. I'm the founder of Motivos Bilingual Magazine. It's now the nation's largest bilingual magazine with youth-generated content, and we welcome each of you here today. If some of you don't know about Motivos, I'm just letting a few in more in the waiting room. Stephen, if you could help out with that, that'd be great. If you don't know about Motivos, it is a quarterly bilingual magazine. It's now in print and digital editions for those of you who are using digital and virtual platforms at school. It's great on Google Classroom for asynchronous learning. It comes with an educator toolkit to engage students in the content and help them share their challenges, their joys, their dreams with the educators, mentors, and adults in their lives. And Team Talk is an extension of that. In this past year, when schools haven't been able to take field trips and give experiential learning opportunities to young people, we've gone in and filled that gap and invited schools to have their students participate with Team Talks or to view the virtual live stream on our YouTube, which is just Motivos Media on YouTube. So we have some folks watching us there as well. And today's Team Talk, so we switch between topics of exactly what the magazine covers. We've got career exploration, college preparation, character development, how to handle what life throws at you, and then creative writing. And so the last Thursday of each month, which next Thursday will be on the 29th, we'll have a writing workshop. Everyone's invited to come back for that. And this evening, our topic is Faith Matters. And so in this format, we're going to have some guests and our Motivos team member, Stephen Ramsey Jr. will be introducing our guests and giving you an overview of what we'll cover this evening here on Motivos Team Talk. So I'll just pass the mic over to Stephen. And Stephen is a senior at Washington Carver High School here in Philadelphia for engineering.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stephen Ramsey Jr. So I go to George Washington Carver High School of Engineering and Science. I'm in 12th grade. Thank God, about to graduate. And welcome to Team Talk. So once a week on Thursdays, we generally all get together. And sometimes we will do writing workshops. Other times, as you see, as we have tonight, we have guests who come to speak to us. Hey, Jacek. But yeah, so today we have some guests coming to speak to us about faith-based institutions and colleges and to share with us some benefits or different topics that they just wanted to talk about. So the format that we'll be going through tonight, I'll introduce them actually first. So today we have with us Gabriel Cepeda, who is a worship and tech coordinator, as well as campus life assistant at Elam Bible Institute and College in Lima, New York. We also have Theresa Kennedy Palmisano. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing anything wrong. She's a program administrator at the Alliance of Catholic Education at St. Joseph University. And we also have Dr. Raymond Ward, PhD, director at the Center of Community Engagement at Cabrini University. So tonight, they're going to be sharing with us, giving us a 5 to 10 minute presentation based on some questions that I developed that me and Janae worked on earlier in the week concerning what is a faith-based education, what are the benefits of it, what surrounds it, etc.
And I'll just pop in to say we have an added guest this evening, Mr. Al Brown from Esperanza College. So brief intro to Al. He's over at Esperanza. They've got a new program he'd love to let you folks know about. So we're adding him to the panel as well.
Hi, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. Esperanza College is a branch campus of Eastern University, located in St. David's, and so I'm happy to be a part of a distinguished panel with us today, and also have Mr. Elliot Roman, also from Esperanza, who's here with us as well from our admissions department. So, pleasure to be with you.
Excellent. Eastern's right across the road. I'm looking right at it right now.
That's fantastic. What part of are you off of Huntington Park, or?
We're right off of Eagle Road. So like when the basketball teams play each other, we say it's the Battle of Eagle Road. And
Okay.
I don't know how serious the rivalry is on Eastern side, but I know Cabrini kids get pretty fired up when it's time to play.
Cabrini. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Well, I don't know much about the history of it, but it sounds like it would be a good rivalry.
Neighbors
Right,
make good rivals, I guess. Go ahead. Sorry, Steve.
No, you're fine. So we're going to start the presentations now. So everybody has about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll just go in order and address the different questions that we have to ask. We'll start out with Gabriel, if he's all right with starting out.
Absolutely.
All right. So you just give us a 5 to 10 minute presentation about the college that you assist at, and we'll also ask you the questions that we have for you. Just present based on what you do there, the different activities that you take part in, what it is to work at a faith-based institution, and we'll also ask you the questions as well.
Absolutely. Everybody, my name is Gabriel Cepeda. I am an international, I used to be a student, I guess. Now I am international staff. My home country is Ecuador, and I'm here in this tiny but beautiful town of Lima, New York. I don't know if you guys heard about that. It's close to Rochester. And Elam is a place that I came as a student, and now I work here. I usually oversee the everything that has to do with the music department and the worship department, and everything that has to do with the students and different events that we provide the students for their spiritual growth and all of that. So that's my main job here. And when I have a little bit of time as well, I oversee. I help and assist students with anything that they need in the campus life department as well. So that's a little bit of me and what I do here.
Okay. So the first question that we had was, we put it in the format of asking, what's the elephant in the room? And when we say that, we mean, what's the big difference of going to a faith-based college rather than going to a more secular or non-faith orientated college? I'm sorry. So what are some examples of the differences that you find in the student's academic life as well?
Absolutely. Now, in my opinion, the social atmosphere is one of the big difference between faith-based college and more secular ones. According to the National Center of Addiction and Substance Abuse at Columbia University, as I was looking into this, generally, secular colleges administrators do little to impose moral standards upon students, except, of course, in the case of illegal activities. If it's underage drinking or sexual assault, all of that. But other than that, as long as it is legal and the student is over the age of 18, they don't usually take any action. But generally speaking, it's often easier for the students to engage in a risky behavior on secular campuses than on a Christian campus, because they work harder. The Christian campuses work harder a little bit in regulating the morality of their student body. So now, in regards to the students' academics life, I will say students who are not high achievers and who require more of a personal approach would make it a lot, they won't be able to make it a lot at large colleges. But however, they have a very good chance and small colleges, often, faith-based colleges. the well-being of every person and their development is a primary focus of the colleges and the faith-based colleges. Therefore, faculty members at such colleges are primarily focused on teaching students and helping them grow. Faculty members at secular colleges, generally speaking, are often more concentrated on the academic achievements and the advancing research, as well as publishing articles or books, where students at faith-based colleges, are challenged to help each other and develop, servants, leadership skills, and are constantly presented with opportunities to help others, to encourage and to motivate each other. So such atmosphere helps the undisciplined student who struggles with maybe time management or get motivation to do things, to actually complete the assignments, study, and hence pass classes.
Okay. Interesting. We also wanted to ask who attends faith-based institutions? Like, are they just for people, or is the majority of people coming there defined with the faith at the college, or will you see other people, like, for example, at a institution that defines as Catholic or a Catholic institution, will you find Muslims there? And for people who are Muslim or Jewish or anything of any other religion, even atheist, do when they come to the institution, like, how do they fit in? Do they, come well, or like, is it like different for them? Like, how is it with those people as well?
Absolutely. This actually depends, at least in my opinion, on the colleges and types of degrees they offer. For example, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Robert Wesleyan College or Houghton College. They are here, especially in the New York State, the upstate. They are Christian colleges, they are considered to be Christian colleges. They offer many different degrees, and therefore they get a lot of students from different backgrounds and views with different views and beliefs and all of that. However, for us, for example, in Bible college, because we're considered Bible college, where the degree is, the degree offer are a little bit limited and directly connected with the institution purpose. Generally, the people who attend a Bible college are mostly Christians or identify themselves with the beliefs of the statement of faith of that institution. So, of course, in other words, people who attend Bible colleges are either Christians or agree to the statement of faith of some institutions. But of course, not all of the students who attend Bible colleges are Christians. As I mentioned before, with the example of Robert Wesleyan or Houghton College, a few of them have different beliefs. But in my personal opinion, I think that this group of students, any kind of group of students, fits in any college without a problem, as long as they respect the rest of the students' beliefs and do not engage in any activity where the statement of faith of such institutions is or can be violated. So that would be my answer.
Interesting. The final question that we have, and one more thing I forgot to mention, there'll be a Q&A at the end. So anybody who has any questions for any of our panelists, or just any questions in general, it could be about Motivos or anything that you want to know about. Obviously nothing like why is the sky blue or anything like that, but any questions you guys have, we'll be open to answer them at the end. But to get back to the panel questions, the last question we have for you, Gabriel, and then we'll move on to Theresa. We wanted to ask, does faith heavily affect the curriculum taught within the school? And examples of that we were interested about were, are certain subjects removed? Are any subjects added? Are they modified to fit the school's professed faith or anything of the sort?
Absolutely. The curriculum, and especially in the higher education, is driven by the degree. All accredited faith-based colleges must meet all requirements mandated by the state's Department of Education. Various degrees and majors have specific requirements, specific courses that must be taught. All curriculums have to be first approved, not only by the state, but also by the accrediting agency. Therefore, colleges don't just have the freedom to remove all our subjects from their curriculum. Is a very defined process. However, colleges have the freedom to make a decision on what liberal arts courses and what electives will be offered. One of the mandates of each college is to meet their purpose and align their curriculum in subjects closely with their mission. As such, they have the responsibility to make sure that all the students' learning outcomes align with the mission of the college. So their curriculum should reflect their core values. Their philosophy of education should be in agreement, of course, with the statement of faith and the foundational statements. So.
All right, thank you, Gabriel. And now we'll be moving on to Teresa. So Teresa will just ask you to share any information about yourself or about the school you work at, any programs that you're in, or anything like that that you just want anybody on the call to know.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Stephen and Janae and Motivos. I'm really glad to be here. So I'm the program administrator for the Alliance for Catholic Education at St. Joseph's University. So the program I work for is actually it's a graduate level program. It's a fellowship, so it's for recent college grads. So I'll speak a bit to that and also a bit to St. Joseph's University as an undergraduate institution as well. So our program, ACE-SJU, is, as I said, it's a 2-year fellowship program where recent college grads become teachers. So they pursue their graduate degree free of cost through our program in education. And they teach as full-time teachers in Philadelphia, Camden, and Chester and surrounding areas. Our program is a Catholic program based in the Jesuit tradition, which is St. Joe's is rooted in in Saint Ignatius of Loyola's tradition, and so that's kind of the Catholic or faith-based roots of our program. In our specific program, we have about 40 students in the program, 40 graduate students who are the full-time teachers of record. They live in community, they live in intentional community throughout Philadelphia, and they have weekly spirituality nights. They go on 3 retreats a year, so there's certainly a spiritual basis along with professional and education development, and it's really kind of a program for the care for the whole person. And I think at St. Joe's that's a phrase, cura personalis, that is used a lot, talking about care for the whole person. And I think that's one of the things that makes a faith-based education different than maybe a secular education. Other important, I think, ideas of St. Ignatius is finding God in all things. And so this is something that's really, really stressed throughout, very different areas of campus life at St. Joe's, and amongst, a lot of other things. So that's a little spiel about me and the program that I work for, and a little bit about St. Joe's. So thanks.
Thank you, Teresa. I'm sorry, Teresa. And
that's okay. Teresa is actually correct, but it's don't worry.
Right.
Either way, it's fine. It's spelled
right.
Teresa. So
right. So now we're going to move into the questions as well. It's the same questions we asked Gabriel, and you touched on some of them actually already a little bit, where you said finding God within everything is a part of the curriculum. But the first one was, once again, just what's the elephant in the room, being what's the difference between like the faith-based and the secular-based college education?
Yeah, that's I think that's really such a great question, because I think no matter where you go, you can certainly find faith. I myself went to a secular institution, and but coming to work here at St. Joe's, I've kind of been opened up to this whole new world of a faith-based education. So I think especially our school is rooted in the tradition of St. Ignatius of Loyola, as I mentioned. I think, some of the big, tenets of Ignatius's practices are finding God in all things, like I said, care of the whole person, and I think that one's really important. I think because at St. Joe's, I think you're looked at as not just a student, not just a number or a student in a classroom, but the university really wants the students to be developed as full people. And so really see like an integration of your faith with, what brings you joy and, and service to others. And so the experience, I think, is not just 4 years kind of all about yourself, but there's a real focus on kind of looking outwards to others and again, to finding God in all things and in all people and in all experiences. And I think that's a huge value of a faith-based education, is that you can invoke God, you can talk about God openly, and so I think that's definitely a strength. Let's see. St. Joe's also has a very deep commitment to social justice, which is, again, I think, another huge asset of belonging to a faith-based institution. That's something that can be lived out like through your classes. At St. Joe's, there's a Faith Justice Institute. There's a lot of opportunities for community and global service. So I think there's a really good relationship with the city of Philadelphia and the university and like what each can offer each other. So yeah, I think ultimately, I think what a faith-based education can do is really offer support and development and growth in starting in spirituality, but that kind of bleeds into all other aspects of your life. So
it ties into, because it's not just education, but it's also in the person from a moral standpoint as well.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Then the second question we had for you was, for St. Joe specifically, like who attends? Is it just, I'm guessing it wouldn't be, but for the different students there who may not be Christian or who may not be Catholic, who may be Muslim, Jewish, atheist, any agnostic, what have you, how do they fit in? How what's the I guess I could say, what's the population there? What's the percentage of them who are there, etc., or anything, pertaining to such?
Yeah, so certainly St. Joe's is open to students of all faiths, all different backgrounds. And yeah, I think that's a really good question. Of course, it's rooted in the Catholic tradition, but I think it's of course the university is open to students of all faith backgrounds. And that's the same with our particular program as well. Our students are teaching in the ACE-SJU program, they are teaching in Catholic schools. And so, but we certainly, accept students of all faiths. I think in terms of, I've seen a really big push. I've only been at the university for about 1.5 years, so I'm on the newer end. But I definitely have seen a really big push from our diversity, equity, and inclusion office. The university hired a new director of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and she came in about 1 year ago. And her name is Dr. Nicole Stokes, and she's just done a really excellent job, I think, so far of just really highlighting the diversity in the university and really putting a big push on inclusion of students, faculty members, everything. So I think that's one big aspect that I think I don't think we're fully there yet, but I think there's a big push being done for inclusion of people of different faiths. There's a lot of different events that I just see advertised, like even through emails and things like that, for all different faith backgrounds, Ramadan and there's even a Institute of Jewish Catholic Relations on campus, and so that's like a big, I don't know, just an example of kind of interfaith dialogue that occurs on campus. So I think there's definitely a lot of efforts being made in inclusion of all faiths, and yeah, so I guess that's what I'll say on that.
Awesome, thank you. And the final question we had was, does faith heavily affect the curriculum? Does it change anything? Does it modify anything? Is anything added or taken away, etc.?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. So I can't speak, very, I can't speak like exactly for the undergraduate experience, because I work with the grad students. But I know that they are required to take some religion classes. So that's, that's certainly one aspect. And I think there's also a very, our campus ministry is very involved in student life. And there's always a big push to get involved in different aspects of ministry, which of course is not necessarily in the classroom, it's outside of the classroom. But so I know for undergraduates, they are required to take some courses in religion. As far as our program, I think a lot of the faith-based education happens outside of the classroom. So our teachers are going to school, obviously at St. Joe's, but they're working with, there's plenty of public school teachers and, private school teachers that are also in the programs that they're in and the courses that they're in. And so I think those courses are more geared to just education in general. But through our program, our graduate program, like I mentioned, we have opportunities for retreats, 3 retreats each year, spirituality nights that are led by the grad students, and they kind of take that on themselves, and they do those once a week. And then of course they're working within Catholic schools. So hopefully that kind of answered your question. I can't speak with expertise about the undergraduate experience, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, we added in the religious classes that at the end where you were saying how the religious classes, they're also required for those. That's a pretty interesting change of the curriculum as well.
For the undergrads. Yeah. Well, thanks.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to Dr. Raymond Ward. And we'll be asking him the same questions. Mr. Ward, if you would like to share anything about yourself, your institution, or anything else that you think everybody will find interesting about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me. Hi, everybody from all over. My name is Ray Ward. I am the director of the Wolfenden Center at Cabrini University. We're located in Radnor, right outside of Philadelphia, right across the street, like we were saying, from Eastern University. It's a small bedroom community here, really kind of a quiet, sleepy suburb, but we got a lot of connections to Philly itself and to Norristown, which is just down about 20 minutes down the road from us. We're just a little far away from St. Joe's as well. The center that I work in does a lot of community engagement work and mission-related work. So the mission is the purpose of the university, right? What's the character and purpose of the university? And we become a kind of a catch-all for that and do a lot of programming that supports students, faculty and staff, and getting involved in what we call the education of the heart, which is Cabrini University's specific mission. The university itself is the only university connected to the Missionary Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which is the order that was founded by Mother Cabrini. When I first came here, I grew up in Chicago, and I thought, when I heard Cabrini, I thought Cabrini Green, and that's was a housing project in the south side of Chicago. Candyman was filmed there. Like, I just had all these weird associations. And then I came here and realized, no, Mother Cabrini was this saint. She was a woman who came from Italy a little more than 100 years ago, just set up a whole bunch of hospitals and orphanages and schools in the United States and all through North and South America. Really fantastic woman, about like a couple inches shy of 5 feet tall, and just spent 63 years setting up 63 different institutions. Really made an impact, and we are here to carry on her mission of really enlarging people's hearts to spread the love of Christ in the world. We're a Catholic institution, and I guess that's what we're going to talk about. So, Stephen, go ahead.
That was beautiful. I love that. So the first question we had for you was, within Cabrini, what's the elephant in the room? Meaning, what's the big difference within the education that you'll get at Cabrini as opposed to some other secular colleges?
Yeah, good. I think what other people have said is really all valid, all important. I feel sorry for Al, because he's going to kind of back clean up and have to figure out what to say after everybody else has said something. But yeah, the campus culture. There are certain conduct standards that we'll find at the university that you might not find at a secular institution. I think everybody's kind of talked about that ethos and the values too. Any religiously oriented institution you go to, you're gonna pick up on the values that motivate that institution, whether that's a Quaker institution, a Jewish institution, an evangelical institution. Any of these places, it's gonna be in the water. You're gonna get it if they know what they're doing, and if they're serious about it, you're gonna feel it. I would also just add, like has already been said, that possibility for spiritual development is there. You're going to find it at other schools. Sometimes it's off campus. It's a Hillel center, or it's a Newman center, or a church, a campus crusade, or a university might have a fellowship on campus, something like that. So that's not a huge difference, I would say, either. One of the things I would, I guess, highlight that's a little different, and I would put this especially for, say, Latino students, is a chance to have a kind of adult encounter with their faith and with their culture. I don't know if people can respond, maybe by raising hands or typing in chat, but did you go to a religious high school? And are your parents religious? I think are two questions worth thinking about. And if any of those are true, if either of those are true, you had an experience of faith and religion as you were growing, but the experience in college, I think, is a very different and very formative experience. And going to a faith-based institution means you get to engage with that faith on a new level. My experience is a lot of our students who are maybe second generation students, first or second generation students, the faith that they get is all in Spanish because it's their parents' faith, and their parents drag them to church in Spanish, and they make them go to youth group in Spanish and all that stuff. And then it's like they're two people. And then going to a university where the faith is an active part of the campus, you get to engage with it on your own terms. And I think that's kind of a neat opportunity. So some thoughts there.
Awesome, thank you. And the second question we were going to move in was, within Cabrini, what is the percentage, or what is the population of people of other faiths there? How do they fit in, and what is generally their academic as well as social, etc. life like? What does that look like within Cabrini?
Yeah, good. So I don't have exact numbers on it, but I can't say, like, roughly, I'd say about 60% of students identify as Catholic. Now, how serious are they about that faith? How closely do I identify with it? I think that goes back to that same stuff we were just talking about. I think people are raised in a faith. Do they really embrace it themselves? These years will tell. They might go through those 4 years and drift farther away from it, or deepen it. We have, I'd say, our fastest growing population on campus is our Muslim population. We have a lot of students coming from all different areas of the world, sharing that Muslim faith. And one of the things I've found, I've worked at a couple different institutions at this point, Catholic institutions, and I've found that many people of different faiths, and I'm going to speak specifically of Jewish and Muslim faiths, look to religious institutions of higher education as an ally, as a safe space. That they might not be my religion, but they at least understand religion. They're going to tolerate it, and they're going to encourage it. They're going to respect it. And I think that's true generally. I think, if you come from a faith that's not the one that the university is aligned with, there's still that common language, this other kind of sphere of meaning that people can understand and respect. I get a lot of people asking, they kind of share stories. Their parents made them come to this university, and they thought that somebody was going to baptize them as soon as they got through with orientation. It's just like, boof, okay, you're Catholic. That obviously doesn't happen. That's not how this works at all. And I would say, especially at Catholic universities, that isn't on the table. There isn't this impulse to convert. I know people who wish that there was more of that. But there's not. There's really this kind of truce, and says, let's respect each other's views and really deepen them through conversation. And I would just add one final piece. As you're looking at different universities, it's as important to figure out what the religious identity is as to figure out what the mission is. You can, if you just see that one label, Christian or Catholic or evangelical, you're not going to know what that school is like unless you dig under it a little bit. And so many students come here and they know that Cabrini's Catholic because if you look at our logo, they're like, oh, I can figure out that's a cross. Where am I? Right? They can say that's a cross, and maybe they recognize the Sacred Heart of Jesus. But they haven't looked at the mission, and we have a deeply social justice motivated mission, an inclusive approach to campus life, and really a focus on leadership. And unless you dig into that, you're not going to know what you're getting.
Thank you. Very interesting on that one. That had some facts that I didn't even know about. It's really interesting. Moving on to the third question, we're asking, does faith heavily affect the curriculum? How does are any classes added, classes taken away, any classes modified, anything of the sort? How does faith affect curriculum at Cabrini?
Yeah, good. All right. I think I'm used up most of my time, so I'll keep this one pretty quick. In terms of taking away, just like people have said, no. So a liberal arts education has certain required components. You're going to find them everywhere. An additional layer is an idea of intellectual freedom. So I can speak at least for Catholic universities. There's a strong commitment to intellectual freedom, that faculty are allowed to pursue their research agenda with broad reign, right? They're given fairly free reign on that. There are some exceptions, right? So certain research agendas that involve, say, stem cell research, that's going to be complicated. I'm not saying it's off the table, but that's going to require a lot of really tough negotiating that goes on. And some other things that involve, the treatment of people according to church teaching. But besides that, and as long as you're not incorrectly so my background is theology. I have a PhD in theology. There's rules about what you can teach in theology classes. It's not that you can't talk about other things, but you can't misrepresent the teachings of the church. That's kind of a technical detail there. But otherwise, intellectual freedom is really respected, and there's a robust conversation on campus about all sorts of issues, right? You're not expected to agree on all these things, and there's no issues that are completely off the table. Though, of course, the university is still going to try to promote its moral positions on certain things. In terms of adding, I would actually say it does add. So we already heard that it adds religion classes. But I would also add that as opposed to especially public universities, private religious institutions can have more conversations about faith than public ones. Because of First Amendment restrictions, there's just certain conversations, certain classes that can't be taught in a public institution. I have colleagues that work in these kinds of places, and they say interfaith dialogue is actually really tough. Not just within a tradition, but even across traditions, it's tough because of First Amendment considerations. So I think that actually, it does open up a whole way of speaking about these things. And that's a really, a gift, I would say, because I think faith and religion are so important in society today. We can see how it's shaping all sorts of things. And if you can't talk from within your own tradition and like deepen your understanding of your own tradition, you're missing out. And that's something that you can get at a faith-based institution.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ward. Now we'll be moving into the last institution that's come to speak to us, the two panelists from Esperanza College, Elliot Roman and Mr. Al Brown. If you two would like to introduce yourselves, share anything about the university you're working at or anything of the sort, please go ahead now, and I'll give you the floor.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Elliot Roman. I am the admissions counselor at Esperanza College of Eastern University. It is a partnership. And we have here Albert Brown. He's the director of admissions and marketing. Al wants to kind of take over and introduce himself.
Sure, it's a pleasure to meet with you. I'm not going to delay any time because I know we're short on it. And so I am going to let Mr. Roman talk about the offerings and the programs at Esperanza College, and then I will try to respond to some of your questions. So Elliot, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, give me one moment. I just had it up. I'm sorry. Here it is. My apologies. So I'm just going to mention a couple of the programs that we offer. Um, we have digital communications, we have media and technology, we have health sciences, criminal justice, natural sciences, community human services, early childhood education, business administration, and a few others. In terms of, I wanted to mention a little bit on the faith-based part of it in the classes. I myself was a student at Esperanza College. I started as an adult. And one of the highlights for me was that it is a faith-based institution. And one of the things that I found absolutely amazing and actually very floored by it, that if a student said, "Professor, would it be okay if you, prayed before the class?" Because, many students, it was their first time either in college. There were several students that were older students. They were, their first time in college or in school in many years. And everybody was excited, but also had a lot of questions. They were nervous. So there was a lot of emotions going on. And the professor was okay. There was like, yes, let's do this. And the professor was okay with asking everybody, are they okay with it? And I found that pretty awesome. And I found that it was pretty consistent across the board and all of the classes if a student requested it. And whenever a professor wanted to do it, of course, they would also ensure that the students were okay with it. I find that pretty awesome. And one of the things that we do at the college every couple of months is we get together and we have a moment of reflection, if you will. And we normally have someone to give maybe like a 10-minute word, 10-minute reflection, and it allows the students to just have a moment of reflection. And I'm going to let Al speak a little bit more on that, but I find it amazing. Also, in my meetings, all staff meetings even with the deans and all of the directors of the program, we get together weekly and we pray weekly for our students. And for me, I find that absolutely amazing. As a recruiter for the school, as a student, I have come across students. It's been a while, but we've had students of Islamic faith, Jehovah's Witness, Catholic, and some others. And we were all able to just share a conversation. And surprisingly, I mean, myself as a Christian, I've come across situations where, people of certain faith may not want to pray with others because of their faith for personal reasons, and I totally get that. But in the school, it was a little bit different. The classes are small in our campus, and because it's so small, it allows us to have more of a personal relationship. It's not so transactional, and I think for me, it being faith-based, it allows it to be more personal versus transactional. And the classes being small, it allows you to build a better relationship with your professor, with your advisor, and all the way around. It just, for me, it takes a bit off of takes away a little bit of the pressure, if you will, on the student, given that they're new and there's just so many questions and so many things. And, statistically, a lot of students like to change their mind because they want to do one thing when they come in. Then they get to meet these different professors and advisors and other students, and they start to learn a different world of other things. And so they want to switch. And so it was an amazing experience meeting all the students and working there as well. But yeah, that is my take. I'm going to have Al take a little bit of that.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Roman. I appreciate that. Just to add a couple of things to that. One, we do have a new program right now, and it's esports management. It's a growing industry right now, and a lot of colleges and universities are beginning to offer that. And we offer an associate's degree. And the reason why I mentioned that, and Elliot mentioned some of the other programs, is that I'm a product of a person that went to a secular college. I started in a secular college. I gave my life to Christ in college through a campus ministry, and I felt called in my sophomore year to transfer to a Christian college. At that time, it was Philadelphia College of Bible, which is now Cairn University. And I was blown away because I said to myself, what am I going to do? I was set in being a business major and I had no idea. Okay, I said, all right, so what am I going to do? I guess the only option for me is to be a missionary or a pastor. That was my initial thought. And I had no idea when I looked at, faith-based institutions in higher education that I can be, I can major in anything that I would in a secular school. And so that the first thing I think everyone has touched on that is presented, that I can major in anything that's out in the secular school. And the benefit of that is that I get to do it with a biblical worldview. And that's what really impacted me, that I get to see all of the subjects that I'm learning through a biblical lens or through a Christian lens. And it deepens the meaning of it for me. And it also engages my faith while I'm learning. And I thought that was so cool and so exciting. In addition to that, I would say this is true of Esperanza, is that you have deep fellowship and connection with the people on campus. And I think relationships really make the campus experience. And so when you can not only have fun with people, and connect with people, it's another thing to be able to pray and to walk with people, through the ups and downs, especially in your college experience. And so that fellowship and that connection and relationship with people, I think makes a huge difference, especially when you're with people who are probably more like-minded with you than perhaps on a secular campus. And so that is a huge part of it. I know with Esperanza, the pillars of our educational system is faith, justice, and reason. That's kind of integrated into the curriculum. And so not only do you learn about the Christian faith through Christian foundation courses, but you also learn about justice and being civic minded, looking at the classroom as it pertains to what is going on in your immediate community and being a solution to some of the issues that are going on. And one thing I will say about Esperanza College, I'm sure the other colleges, universities that are represented here, is that we're really big on building leaders, that will go back into the community and have a transformational presence in those communities. That's a huge part of it. And so I'm going to stop there for the sake of our time. But those are the offerings of Esperanza College. And feel free to visit our website to learn more as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roman and Mr. Brown. Yes, for the sake of time, we are going to move on. You guys, it's actually really good because you guys actually touched on all three questions without even being asked. So thank both of you very much. But now we want to give all the students on the call a chance to ask any questions that they have for any of our panelists. Any questions you have related to faith-based institutions, maybe anything that you didn't hear or something you want to inquire more about. We just want to give everybody a chance to be able to ask any questions they have. You can come off mute and ask them out loud, or if you want to put them in the chat, even private messages, whatever is comfortable for you.
We have a question in the chat. Stephen, has virtual learning taken an effect on faith-based practices that you're trying to convey to the students? So what kind of impact, I guess?
One thing, oh, go ahead.
Well, no, the only thing I was going to say for us, for Elam, one of the things that it was, as we all are saying, we care more about the students, the spiritual side of the students. And one of the things that it was important for us is that when we all went into the digital platform, we still stay connected with our students. So typically here at Elam, we have what we call chapel services, which is like, a time where we can have like a worship and like a message that will encourage our students. So during the digital era that we just went through, we were able to still do that. We wanted to connect to our students. It was not easy to do it over Zoom or this platform because it's not the same, not being, on campus and being online. But that's what we tried to do. And it seems to us that the students responded well to it. A lot of students needed the encouragement, especially because it was a rough time living in a pandemic where you could not literally be with anybody around. So that's what we did.
We have another question in the chat from Anayeli. When will you guys plan to go back in person, and do you guys have a plan for it?
Oh,
Al, go ahead. I think you were going to go too. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I will say this quickly. Right now, we do not have a solid plan. It's up for discussion. And I know that neighboring colleges and universities that have decided to open up their campus for the fall, a good percentage of them have made vaccination a recommendation. And for those students that will physically be on campus. And so we're in the process of looking and looking at our immediate area too, in terms of where the impact of the virus has had in North Philadelphia, because we're a branch campus. So we're taking all of those factors into consideration before making a final decision. So right now it is still up in the air for us and a lot of colleges and universities as well.
If I can weigh in just real quick on both. For Isaac's question, we just got our spring break in last spring, and we do a bunch of immersion trips over spring break. And those are, I would say, the biggest part of our faith formation or faith-based practices that we have had to modify. So we were able to get those spring break trips in. I went with a group that went to Guatemala, and we do that as an immersion trip to be there in solidarity with the people in San Lucas Toliman. And it's a transformational experience for people. We weren't able to do that this spring. And that's more about wanting to keep, well, at first it was about wanting to keep Guatemala safe, but now the virus is just everywhere and it's just trying to keep everybody safe. But anyway, that was one big thing that was impacted. Also just the community life has just been rough. We have to be honest, it's hard to build community virtually. But our plan is for the fall to be back. So this spring, or all this year, we've been hybrid. I'd say about 50% in person, 50% online. Depends on the class you're in, depends on the teacher and their decisions. The option is going to be there for anybody that wants it to be fully in person. The option is still going to be there, though, for professors if they don't feel safe yet to teach virtually. So it's going to be up to people to kind of work that out. That's the plan going forward. But we're excited to get back to the kind of immersion experiences once vaccination safety is in place.
I just want to respond to the question about going back in person. Because we are in the countryside, we are not as big at the cities, like Philadelphia or New York City. We're more upstate New York. Actually, this whole year we did have classes in person. It was Elom is prepared to have also classes via Zoom. For example, if the student can't go to class because either is sick or something, we have a place for them to quarantine. But at the same time, they don't miss classes because they can log in from their rooms to watch the class. So we have a specific dorms for quarantine. We have all the equipment prepared for Zooming classes that we have to. So we hopefully all this year we have been open, and thanks to God, we didn't have any cases at all this whole year. So we are hoping and planning that we can stay like the same for this upcoming fall.
right, thank you guys. Just some questions that Janae was posting in the chat. For Gabriel, you have a short 1-year term program. Is pre and post undergraduate options for
Yep, I think I just got the chat. So really quick about Elon, we do have our 1-year program. We have also a 2-year program. A 1-year program is called Launch program. That is pretty much, we have 4 different concentrations. We have pastoral ministry concentration, a worship leadership, because we are a Bible school. That's the concentrations we offer. We have a missions track. We have a crossroad track. So you can come here and do the 1-year program. That is, of course, not accredited, but you can get some financial aid. You also have the spiritual emphasis in 1 year, which means that the classes, sorry, for the 1-year program, the classes are accredited. Like you can, the classes are, you can transfer to any colleges or continue pursuing others. So the classes are accredited. That the spiritual program that you can do in 1 year, that one is not accredited, but you can take any class you want. We also have an associate's degree program with the associates is in theology and science of the Bible, and is a 2-year program that is fully accredited. You can get financial aid for it too. We are in compliance with the state. You can get federal aid, you can get state aid. And then we have this coming fall, we actually just were approved to do a bachelor's degree. So our bachelor's degree is going to be in the same thing for us right now of in theology and science of the Bible, with fully accredited, fully students can apply for financial aid and all of that. And in the future, hopefully in a couple of years, we're going to offer different degrees as well as business administration and or social worker as well. But for right now, those are the programs that we have. So I don't know if I'd respond to all the questions. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
And we also had a question for Teresa, because Jacek was being a little wiggly while you were speaking, and we just wanted to know if the program for ACE SJU, was it for recent graduates, and is the tuition covered / traded for working in school while studying?
Thanks so much. Yeah, that's a great question. So because of the residential component of our program, which is the intentional community component, where our teaching fellows and grad students are living together in communities, our program does kind of lend itself more to a recent graduate. So typically our fellows are, I would say, in our cohort this year, like between the years of 22 and 26 years old. So I would say it is a program definitely more geared towards recent graduates. And to answer the tuition portion, yeah, so you would be the full-time teacher of record during your time in the program, and you would make a stipend of $1,000 a month. During that time, that would be paid for by your school, but your housing is covered and your tuition is fully covered as long as you maintain grades of B or above. So yeah, that's a great question. And really quick to answer Isaac's question, and I think it was Anayeli, St. Joe's, kind of like Raymond said at Cabrini, we did open on ground this fall, but still some students chose to be home, and same with professors. So some students took classes on ground, some online, and likewise, a number of the service trips were canceled. But there were other opportunities virtually or very socially distanced, like masses that have started back up. So yeah, it's definitely difficult, like you said, Raymond, to build community in a virtual environment, but hoping for for next year to be fully on ground. So thanks.
All right, we want to say thank you to our panelists for coming to speak to us and share some information with us about their universities, as well as the programs and the general life that goes on there. Thank you, guys.
If the panelists wanted to put their websites, in the chat or any contact information for further questions, feel free to do that. If you had any parting words of wisdom or something you thought of where you're like, oh my gosh, I should have mentioned this, feel free to do so. And then we'll break off to have the Motivos meeting with the team. We're just in the throes of creating our Elevate themed edition, which goes to press end of month. So we're working on that. And that's what we'll do till 6 o'clock, team members. So hang in there. But thank you everyone for your time, especially the panelists, for giving of your time, giving of your wisdom, your knowledge, for making us aware of these more heart-led opportunities for higher education. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Janae. Thanks, Stephen. Great job facilitating.
Thank you. Thank you guys for your time.
You're very welcome.